It was a day like any other, the kind you never remember at month's end. Grey clouds filtered the sunlight, dappling the streets in muted gold. I walked through the city park, beneath the towering oaks and along the familiar trail I'd known since childhood. I stopped at a food truck, its vibrant colours announcing the world's best tacos. The tantalising aroma of grilled meat and onions wafted around. "One beef taco, please," I called out. But the vendor continued chatting with a nearby customer, completely ignoring me. I cleared my throat, raising a hand to get attention, but still, nothing. Feeling miffed, I moved on, attributing his behaviour to a bad day or my own forgetfulness. After all, hadn't I once walked out without paying at a coffee shop, lost in a new Stephen King novel? As I continued, a ball bounced my way. A child ran after it, laughing. As she approached, I waited, anticipating our paths to cross. But she ran straight through me, not around, through, as if I wasn't even there. My heart raced and a cold dread settled in. I ran home, hoping the familiar walls of my apartment would dispel the sense of unease. As I entered, my cat, Midnight, glanced in my direction, her green eyes piercing yet unfocused. She meowed at the empty space beside me, her attention elsewhere. A sinking feeling grew. I approached my wall mirror. A shiver went down my spine. Where my reflection should have been, there was just an empty room. Panic bubbled up, threatening to choke me. How does one deal with such an impossibility? I tried calling a friend, hearing it ring, but there was no answer. I tried another, and another. All went to voicemail. Yet, as I checked social media, a chilling realization dawned. They were active, responding to everyone but me. Before today, I had often felt invisible in the vast sea of faces, a metaphorical sentiment shared by many in the humdrum of daily life. But today, that sentiment had become a terrifying reality. I was there, but unseen, unheard, unfelt by the world. And as the weight of this realization pressed down, a leather-bound journal on my shelf caught my attention. An old family heirloom said to be filled with tales from generations past. Desperate for answers, I reached out, hoping it held the key to my unseen plight. The first page read, "To the one who feels unseen, you are not the first. Read on and find solace in our shared fate." I woke up hoping that the events of yesterday were nothing more than a vivid nightmare. But as I turned to the mirror, the stark emptiness staring back was enough to confirm the grim truth. The bedsheets lay undisturbed beside me, untouched by the weight of a body. The day's possibilities unfurled before me. If I were truly invisible, couldn't I do things unnoticed, unheard, without consequence? The temptation to test the limits was irresistible. After dressing up, though I couldn't see why I should, I stepped out, blending seamlessly with the outside world. Navigating through the busy streets, I indulged in my newfound freedom. I overheard a couple whispering sweet nothings, businessmen discussing deals, and teens gossiping about the latest pop sensation. Conversations that were once out of reach were now at my fingertips, waiting to be discovered. A cinema nearby was screening a retrospective of classic films. Spotting a poster of The Invisible Man, a smirk crossed my face. The irony wasn't lost on me. Slipping past the ticket booth, I decided to watch, blending the familiar tale with my own eerie reality. As the story unfolded on screen, I couldn't help but wonder, was the price of invisibility truly worth the freedom it offered? Walking past a cafe, I overheard a book club discussing the latest read. It was the perfect chance to join in without actually joining. As they debated plot points and character arcs, I silently chimed in, delighting in the fact that for once, no one interrupted me. But as the day progressed, the allure began to wane. Every laugh I couldn't share, every touch I couldn't feel, and every conversation I couldn't partake in started to weigh heavy. The world moved around me, vibrant and alive, yet I was just a silent observer, disconnected. I found myself at the park, the very place where the strangeness began. Watching kids play and couples stroll by, a sense of profound loneliness crept in. I might have reveled in my invisibility, but the cost was a solitude I hadn't anticipated. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the city, I couldn't help but feel like one of them, present yet fading. As I penned down these thoughts in the journal, I wondered how many before me had felt the same, haunting isolation. The nights were the hardest. While the bustling city transformed into a somber, quiet space, my mind raced, unable to find rest. My apartment, once a haven, echoed with silence and memories of a life once lived. In an attempt to feel something, anything, I went to my parents' home. Their quaint suburban house was always filled with warmth and love. Peeking through the window, I watched as they sat together, their faces etched with worry. My mother held a picture of me, tears streaming down her face. I pressed my hand against the window pane, yearning for the embrace of my family, wanting to reassure them, to tell them I was right there. But my pleas were lost unheard. It was a pain I hadn't known before, to be so close, yet so far. A soft tune played on the radio, a song from my childhood. My father tried to comfort my mother, his voice breaking. "He's out there, somewhere," he whispered. "We'll find him." But even as he spoke, doubt laced his words. My heart ached, wishing to bridge the chasm of invisibility. I walked the streets, aimlessly, finding solace only in the dim glow of streetlights. Overhearing bits of conversations, I stumbled upon a hushed exchange between two figures in an alleyway. "He's gone, vanished without a trace," one whispered, while the other responded, "Good, he knew too much." Distracted by their conversation, I barely noticed when one of them dropped a small note. Curiosity piqued, I picked it up. Its contents were cryptic, hinting at a deeper conspiracy. Were there others like me? Others who had disappeared? I wandered to a park bench, reflecting on the events of the past few days. There, in the distance, a couple sat talking. The woman sobbed, "It's like he just became a ghost. No one's seen him in days." Could they be speaking of another unseen like me? The veil of invisibility was both a curse and a shield. With every whisper, every tear, and every secret unveiled, I realized that invisibility didn't just separate me from the world, it magnified the essence of human connection and the yearning we all feel to truly be seen. The days morphed into nights, time blurring into an indistinct haze. With each passing moment, the hope of reclaiming my old life dwindled. But as despair threatened to consume, a newfound sense of daring emerged. If the world couldn't see me, perhaps there were advantages I hadn't yet considered. A high-end jewelry store beckoned with its glittering displays. Standing outside, I watched as customers examined the wares, the clerks attending with feigned interest. With a deep breath, I stepped in, my heart racing. My hand reached out, fingers brushing against a diamond necklace. The weight of it was real, tangible, in stark contrast to my phantom existence. With the necklace tucked away, I ventured further into the world of mischief. Sneaking into exclusive parties, eavesdropping on the city's elites, and even playing harmless pranks became my daily exploits. The thrill was intoxicating. The world was my playground, and I was untouchable. One evening, as I indulged in a 5-star buffet, no one noticing the food that floated midair before disappearing, I caught snippets of a conversation. "It's a perfect plan," a man smirked. "With the mayor out of the way, the city's under our control." His companion chuckled, replying, "No one will see it coming." The implications were clear and the danger palpable. I decided to follow them, intrigued and alarmed by their sinister plot. We weaved through the city's underbelly, the darkness pressing in. They met with others, shadowy figures in a dimly lit warehouse. Plans were laid out, maps spread, and money exchanged. My heart raced as I noted every detail, intent on thwarting their malevolent intentions. But as the meeting continued, I grew careless, knocking over a glass bottle. It shattered, drawing the attention of the room. "Who's there?" one of them barked. I held my breath, praying they'd dismiss it as mere coincidence. But then, in the cold dimness, I felt a piercing gaze fixated directly on me. A tall figure, draped in black, his eyes an unnatural shade of blue, seemed to look through the veil of my invisibility. "I can see you," he whispered, a sinister grin playing on his lips. I froze, the gravity of the situation settling in. Heart pounding, I bolted, the man's chilling laughter echoing behind me. Alleyways blurred as I ran, desperation fueling my pace. Every shadow became a threat, every noise an impending danger. Finally, I found a secluded spot, catching my breath, the weight of my invisibility becoming a double-edged sword. The world had hidden dangers, and for the first time, I questioned, what if there were others who walked the unseen path, with motives far darker than my own? Days turned colder, both in weather and sentiment. I became increasingly wary, the sinister gaze from the warehouse haunting my every step. But amidst this paralyzing fear, I began noticing subtle disturbances around town. Items floated eerily, unseen footprints in the snow, soft whispers with no source. Walking past an old bookstore, a book abruptly slid out, stopping at my feet. The title read, History's Forgotten, The Shadow Town Chronicles. Picking it up, I noticed a handwritten note inside. Meet me at Murrow's Cafe, midnight. It was unsigned, but the implications were clear. At the stroke of midnight, Murrow's Cafe, usually buzzing with life, was desolate. I hesitated, then pushed the door open. There was no one in sight, but a fresh cup of coffee steamed at a corner table. Taking a seat, I waited. And then, a voice seemingly out of nowhere began to speak. "I've been watching you," it said, soft and melodic. "I'm like you," the voice continued, unseen, forgotten, a whisper in the wind. Slowly, a figure materialized before me, a woman with auburn hair and sorrowful eyes. Her appearance was fleeting, shifting in and out of vision. "The town has secrets, stories lay within stories," she murmured. She introduced herself as Alara. Claiming she'd been invisible far longer than I, she spoke of an old legend. Centuries ago, she began, this town was a haven for the unseen, a place where the forgotten came to find solace. It said there's an entire community hidden, waiting to be discovered. Alara shared tales of past invisibles, their adventures, heartbreaks, and hidden treasures. She hinted at multimedia clues they left behind, QR codes etched into statues, secret frequencies on old radios, and digital footprints on forgotten websites. Our conversation deepened, and I felt a connection I'd been craving. She spoke of gatherings, places where the unseen came together, shared stories, and supported one another. "Not all are like that man you encountered," she assured. "There's good and bad in every world, seen or unseen." As dawn approached, Laura began to fade, her presence growing more ethereal. "Find the community," she whispered. "Rediscover the stories, and remember, in our invisibility, we find strength." With a soft sigh, she disappeared entirely, leaving behind only the echoes of her tale and a renewed sense of purpose. With the first light of dawn, I headed to the town's library, an ancient stone building with ivy-covered walls. Alara's words echoed in my mind, driving me to delve deeper into the town's layered history. As I explored, an old leather-bound journal hidden among dusty shelves caught my eye. Opening the journal, I was met with neat cursive writing, detailing the life of one William Harrow, dated back to the 1800s. He wrote of his joy, love, ambitions, and the fateful day he found himself unseen by the world. It felt eerily familiar, like reading my own thoughts from another lifetime. William spoke of a forbidden ritual he'd stumbled upon, one promising power and immortality. Driven by ambition, he performed it, only to find himself stripped of his visibility. He wasn't the first, he learned, nor would he be the last. The journal described the haunting fates of others who had gone unseen before him. Some reveled in their new status, but others, consumed by loneliness and despair, met horrifying ends. One passage chillingly read, "They may ignore you, but the shadows see, always watching, always hungry." As I read further, the implications grew darker. Invisibility wasn't just a consequence, it was a binding contract. Stay unseen, remain a silent observer of life, and in return, gain eternity. But those who sought attention, who tried to bridge the gap between the visible and invisible worlds, were consumed by the shadows, their very existence wiped clean. The weight of the revelation pressed heavily on me. The encounters, the mischief, the risks I'd taken, had I been unknowingly tempting fate? A line from William's journal seared into my mind: "We tread on the edge of oblivion, to be seen is to be erased, lost to the void forever." I clutched the journal close, realizing the importance of the rules. While the invisible world offered freedom and secrets, it also bore chains. As the day faded, I knew my journey was far from over, with countless whispers of the past waiting to be heard. Fueled by newfound knowledge and the looming threat of erasure, I found myself gripped by a fervent urgency. To be unseen was one thing, but to face oblivion was another. If there was a way into this ethereal existence, there surely had to be a way out. I scoured the library, searching for tales that might hold the key to my salvation. Among the dusty volumes, I chanced upon the Tales of Invisibility, a collection of stories from cultures worldwide. Many were familiar, like H.G. Wells' The Invisible Man, but it was the lesser-known myth that intrigued me. The Japanese legend spoke of the Kakeramino, a magical cloak granting its wearer invisibility, but warning of the cost of its use. From India, I read about Tamas, a darkness that could consume a person, rendering them unseen. Native American stories told of spirits walking unseen among their people, forever watching but never joining. The parallels were uncanny, each tale weaving a narrative of both power and peril. One particular story from Celtic folklore caught my eye. A potion, crafted under the moon's pale light, had the power to give and take invisibility, but the ingredients were obscure: moonshade herbs, tears of the unseen, and the essence of a shadow. It seemed a long shot, but it was a shot nonetheless. As days melded into nights, my quest consumed me. Every hint, every whisper fueled my determination. I ventured to ancient groves, seeking moonshade herbs, felt the cold touch of shadows as I tried to capture their essence, and, hardest of all, collected my own silent tears. Despite the odds, hope blossomed within me. If these stories, these myths, had a kernel of truth, then perhaps I could reclaim my place in the world. I was racing against time, against the ever-watchful shadows, but I was no longer a passive observer. I was a fighter, desperate and determined, with everything to lose. In the heart of the town's forgotten woodland, I stumbled upon it, a secluded glade bathed in an ethereal moonlight glow. Its atmosphere was thick with ancient magic. In its centre stood a stone pedestal, inscriptions detailed in a language long lost but strangely comprehensible. As I deciphered the runes, a formula emerged, a ritual to temporarily reclaim visibility. But, as with all powerful spells, it came at a devastating cost. For every hour seen, a day would be taken from the end of one's life. The weight of the decision bore heavily, the pages of William Harrow's journal flashing before my eyes, warning of the dangers of meddling with such powers. The agony of my invisibility, the yearning to feel a part of the world again, battled fiercely with the fear of shortening my life. But deep down, a singular desire prevailed to reconnect, if only briefly, with those I cherished. To let them know I was still here, that I loved them. Summoning all my courage, I conducted the ritual. As the final incantation left my lips, a warm sensation flooded through me. Racing to a nearby stream, I saw my reflection shimmer into view. Tears, now visible, streamed down my face. The joy of seeing oneself, a feeling so mundane yet now so profound. With no time to waste, I sprinted towards my family home. Memories flooded back: Sunday breakfasts, warm hugs, laughter, and shared secrets. The ache of their perceived loss of me resonated in every step. As I approached, I saw her, my younger sister, Ella, sitting on the porch, lost in thought. "Ella," I whispered, my voice trembling. She looked up, her eyes widening in disbelief and joy. In that fleeting hour, we clung to each other, tears mingling, words unnecessary. Time seemed to both stand still and race by. The emotional crescendo of our reunion was marred only by the knowledge of its impermanence. As the hour waned, I felt the pull of invisibility once more. "Remember me," I urged her, my form starting to fade. With a final embrace, I disappeared, leaving behind a world once again out of reach. The return to invisibility was a descent into aching solitude. But the memory of that hour, the warmth of connection, became a beacon in the shadowed world I now inhabited. A reminder that sometimes, even the briefest moments hold a lifetime of meaning. Alara's voice beckoned me again, guiding me towards a concealed alleyway in the town's labyrinthine outskirts. As I moved closer, the world seemed to shift, unveiling a hidden realm parallel to our own. An entire section of the town obscured from the visible world, where the unseen thrived. The once familiar streets appeared transformed. Buildings shimmered in translucent hues, their walls echoing the whispered tales of countless souls trapped in this invisible purgatory. I felt an uncanny sense of belonging, a connection to the silent wanderers passing by, each lost in their quiet reverie. Yet, amidst the solace, a chilling realization dawned. This space was not just a refuge, it was a trap. The walls of these ethereal buildings pulsated, absorbing the silent screams and unshed tears of the unseen, feeding on their collective sorrow. Drawn by an eerie melody, I found myself in the heart of this concealed realm, facing a grandiose, phantom-like mansion. Above its entrance, A sign read, "The House of Echoes." It seemed to be the epicenter where the energy of the unseen was harnessed and consumed. Venturing inside, I was met with an overwhelming sight, the sea of faceless entities, dancing in an eternal, ghostly waltz. Among them, one figure stood out, its aura darker and more menacing. It moved towards me, its voice a dissonant harmony. "Ah, the newest unseen, welcome to my abode." There was an unmistakable malevolence in its gaze, an entity that thrived on the anguish of others. "I'm the Echo," it whispered, "the keeper of this realm, the devourer of despair, and you, my dear, have brought a delicious melancholy with you." Its voice, dripping with hunger, sent shivers down my spine. For a moment, I felt paralyzed, caught in the Echo's hypnotic lure. But the memory of my fleeting reunion with Ella, the warmth and love we shared, ignited a defiant spark within me. I wouldn't become another lost soul in this haunting ballroom. Drawing on every ounce of strength, I broke free from the Echo's grasp, racing back through the spectral streets, escaping the confines of the concealed realm. The world shifted once more, returning me to the familiar yet unseen outskirts of the town. Safe, but forever changed, I realized the dual nature of invisibility. While it offered an escape from the pain of the visible world, it also held darker depths, places where despair reigned supreme. And within those shadows, entities like the Echo waited, eager to feast on the vulnerable. The weight of everything I'd endured pressed heavily upon me. The world of the unseen held both solace and sorrow, and every day brought with it a challenging choice, to embrace my invisible existence or to fight for a chance at visibility, no matter the cost. While pondering this existential crossroad, a realization struck me. It was the journal. This artifact that had seemed so benign, perhaps even helpful, was the key. Its pages didn't just chronicle the lives of the unseen, it controlled them, weaving its readers into its haunting tapestry. Remembering the journal's first pages, William Harrow's warning about meddling with forces beyond comprehension took on new, terrifying significance. The diary wasn't just a historical record, it was an anchor, binding those who read it deeply and intently to the realm of the invisible. Its scribe, none other than the malevolent Echo itself. Alara had hinted at the town's secrets, and the true nature of the journal was the most treacherous of all. It wasn't just about recording experiences, it fed on them, and I had been naively pouring my soul into its pages. The more I wrote, the stronger the Echo grew. Determined to end the sinister cycle, I sought out Alara. Together, we formulated a desperate plan. If the Echo drew its power from our despair and the journal's chronicles, then perhaps filling its pages with hope, love, and fierce determination could weaken it. I began to write, pouring not just my pain, but also my fondest memories, dreams, and love for those I'd lost touch with into the journal. The pages seemed to resist the ink smudging and distorting, but with Laura's encouragement, I persisted. As the final words flowed from my pen, the journal began to tremble, emitting a cacophonous scream. The once dimly lit room was bathed in blinding light, forcing us to shield our eyes. And then, as suddenly as it started, silence. Opening my eyes, the world felt different. Looking down, I saw my hands, solid and visible. Alara, equally visible, met my gaze with tears of joy. "We've done it," she whispered, clutching the now innocuous-looking diary. But our victory was short-lived. The Echo, enraged and weakened, emerged from the shadows, its form more monstrous than ever. "You may have broken free," it hissed, "but you'll never escape." The room seemed to distort, our surroundings becoming a nightmarish maze with the Echo at its center. With newfound visibility and determination, Alara and I confronted the Echo. Our combined willpower forcing it into retreat. The vessel was a whirlwind of emotion, a struggle of hope against despair, of light against darkness. As the climactic duel reached its zenith, the Echo, with one final, desperate lunge, attempted to reclaim the journal. But together, channeling all our strength and the combined force of every soul ever ensnared, we banished the entity back to the shadows from whence it came. Exhausted but triumphant, Alara and I emerged from the maze, the world restored to its rightful state. The journal, its power now neutralized, would serve as a reminder of our journey, our struggle, and the eternal balance between visibility and obscurity. In the aftermath, I came to understand the true nature of existence. While being seen by the world holds its unique joys, the strength drawn from our internal battles, from confronting and overcoming our invisible demons, is what truly defines us. Morning light streamed through my window, its warmth feeling profoundly different on my once invisible skin. This light, in its simplicity, symbolized my arduous journey from obscurity to clarity. I'd come to understand that true sight wasn't just about being seen by others, but about recognizing oneself. Sitting at my desk, the diary lay before me, its once menacing or a now dormant whisper. Picking it up, I realized it was no longer a chain that bound me, but a testament to resilience, a chronicle of battles both lost and won. Yet, as I glanced outside, the world seemed larger, its horizons expanded. Beyond the confines of our town, there was a vast expanse waiting to be explored, a realm where the lines between reality and the supernatural were even more blurred. Laura visited me that day, her face bright with purpose. "There are more places, you know," she began, her voice tinged with excitement, lands beyond our town, where the veil between worlds is thin. Our experience here was just the beginning. My heart raced. The thought of new adventures, of discovering realms where the seen and unseen intermingled, was exhilarating. "Are you suggesting we go on an expedition?" I asked, the thrill of anticipation coursing through me. She nodded, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "There are tales, stories passed down through generations of the unseen, of cities that float in the sky, of forests that sing, and oceans that remember. Our journey with the Echo was just a prelude." That evening, as the sun cast its golden hue over the horizon, Alara and I stood at the town's edge, poised for a new adventure. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with both perils and wonders. But together, with the lessons of the past guiding us, we were ready. Silence enveloped us, not the oppressive kind that had once defined our existence, but a tranquil one, filled with promise and hope. We stepped forward, hand in hand, venturing into the light beyond. The delicate pages of the diary felt warm beneath my fingers, its stories now etched forever in my mind. I'm James, a mere librarian of our town, yet the tales recounted here by an individual once unseen have profoundly altered my perspective. I had known the protagonists before they became one of the unseen. We had exchanged pleasantries, shared minor moments of camaraderie, but I never truly saw them, never truly understood the depths of their existence. Reading their struggles, their triumphs, and heartaches, I've been reminded of the fragility of our perceptions. In our daily lives, we often overlook those who feel unseen, even when they are right before our eyes. This diary serves as a poignant reminder to always look deeper to truly see. Their journey with Alara, their encounters with the Echo, and their explorations beyond the veil have ignited a flame within me. If such mysteries exist in our very town, what other secrets do the vast expanses of our world hold? In the empty spaces between the diary's words, in the silences punctuating its tales, I sense the echoes of unsung stories, the whispers of unnamed adventures. This chronicle might have found its conclusion, but I believe the larger narrative remains unfinished. I've made a promise to myself. Armed with the knowledge from this diary and a determination to uncover the unseen, I will venture beyond the known horizons. For every tale has its untold chapters, and every ending is but a new beginning in disguise. To those who find this addendum, always keep your eyes open. For the world is vast, its mysteries boundless, and every soul you encounter holds a universe of stories waiting to be discovered. And so, with a heart brimming with anticipation and reverence for the journey undertaken by our unseen protagonist, I step forth, leaving these pages as a testament. The quest for understanding, for truly seeing, shall forever continue.